What is up, people? It is Dave, it is Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. And for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from Welsh riff slingers, Silverburn. The band album.
Fucking brain matter all over the side of the fucking wall. I just Kurt Cobain myself. Fucking.
The new album, Self-Induced Transcendental Annihilation, is out on August 11th on MSH Music Group. Okay, so here's where it gets even more wild. Silverburn is the solo project of James Jim Bob Isaac from Taint and Hark. The Welsh metal visionary began this journey during the cruel lockdown winter of 2020. It has been said that extreme conditions demand extreme responses, and self-induced transcendental, am I pronouncing that correctly? Transcendental. Yeah, annihilation began as an elemental response to the almighty global gut punch that surrounded its creation. With this album, Isaac has meticulously crafted a wholly uncompromising solo offering in the truest sense. Spirit metal, quantum thrash, metaphysical, post-sludgecore, call it what you will. This album will take...
All those things. All of those things.
This album will take zero prisoners, a true dark night of the soul in stereo. Having written, constructed, and finalised each song at his digital home studio within a self-allotted 12-month time frame, Isaac then proceeded to practice and actualise the live drumming over the 12 months that followed. The 2.5-year creative journey then culminated in the recording studio, where JB committed each live instrument to tape with producer Gethin Pearson at his Institute of Sonic Architecture studio in Wales in January 2023. It was then mixed by Gethin Pearson and Jim Bob Isaac, then mastered by Grant Berry at Fader Mastering. Self-induced transcendental that's a difficult word. Transcendental annihilation is a healing rite of passage, a hero's metallic journey of total annihilation, rebirth, and healing through fire. With Isaac's legacy traversing his former bands Taint and Hark, this solo album marks a shift forward from his tired, tested, and influential stoner rock, post-hardcore, post-sludge template. Whilst followers and fans of his signature roots may take some surprise over the hard-hitting direction of Silverburn, the DNA of these songs resides firmly within Isaac's authentic canon of influences. So, yeah, I know. Yeah, if you were, yeah, I firstly, I didn't know from Wales, and I did not know this was a solo project either.
Where did you think it was from? I'd be curious about this one because I had a very strong feeling Denmark, like
really?
straight from the off.
Oh,
like there's something about the production here, and the vocals remind me of a certain maybe like 10 years ago, a certain one, Mr. Jakob Bredel, where I was like, "That has he got another fucking band? Fuck off!"
all right, okay.
It has a Denmarkish tone to it that kind of captured me.
Right. Oh, I was
Wales.
I was America, but I'll come to why I thought America.
Fuck no, Dave.
So yeah, if you were listening to this, Duncan, and you're thinking to yourself, this sounds like it might be a Dave album, then you'd be absolutely correct, my friend. I'd heard the first single, Annihilation, which is the opening track on the album, and at no point did I think one-man band.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah,
actually,
it doesn't even sound like it's been recorded by one person. I would have put money on this being a full band. Like the recording sounds like a band in a room ripping out these tracks. So like, first off, the fact he's made this sound as unified as a full band is impressive in itself. There was also something quite nostalgic about this for me. I kind of grew up listening to 90s hardcore, so like bands like Propane, Cro-Mags, Snapcase, Fudge Tunnel, that type of stuff. And I felt like this album kind of channels a lot of that character of bands from that era. It's pissed off, it's vicious, it doesn't give a fuck what you think. which felt like that kind of era of hardcore to a T. And I kind of get the feeling that Jim Bob has written this album for himself. This doesn't feel like an album that's been written to please other people, or trying to appeal to a certain audience. It sounds like he's got a huge love for that time period and that mix of punk and hardcore, old school metalcore as well. And he's made an album that kind of encapsulates all of that. The other band that I haven't mentioned yet, that is all over this album, and is one of my favourites from that late 90s era, is Vision of Disorder. There is a huge VOD vibe throughout this.
Before VOD went all southern. Yes.
90s VOD, kind of mid to late 90s. It kind of gets me excited in all the right places. The guitars are like really dissonant, got that kind of real kind of chuggy heaviness to them, which like evokes bands like VOD. There's quite a bit of Cro-Mags in this as well, and that's where I was getting that kind of like New York kind of American vibe. That's what I kind of where I was picking up, and it gives these tracks so much venom, so much groove, and like tracks like Pain Body is absolutely dripping in that like Vision of Disorder, that metallic kind of viciousness that they brought. And that's my wheelhouse. Like I am all about that. And this album gives you plenty of moments where you feel like you just want to kind of bang your head. It's just got that feeling all the way through it. But it's not just like a one tempo album either. It doesn't stick within a set groove or a set time. It jumps between different kind of up tempo, kind of hardcore punk into almost like a kind of sludgy mid pace kind of rhythm as well. And there are moments where Silverburn give you little flashes of something more, almost touches on Mathcore a little bit, like just ever so slightly. I don't mean like Dillinger's Escape Plan. I don't mean that level of extreme, but tracks like Vita Potentia Animus, that type of track felt a lot more kind of jagged in rhythm.
Yeah.
And the lead work had a more kind of like feverish kind of atmosphere to it. There's a lovely big clean section in that track as well, which works brilliantly as a kind of breather moment before the last part of the track builds into this really colossal but kind of off-time groove, which was really cool. I also like that kind of sludgy approach that it brings as well. You get it on Etheric Crush, which is kind of much slower in pace for the most part, and a bit more kind of streamlined in structure, but it doesn't stay at that speed for its entirety. There's a really nice kind of hardcore section slotted in around the middle, which had a little bit of something more kind of slightly more modern in a kind of Every Time I Die type way. Some of the lead work kind of reminded me of them, but I liked it. That track, it brought the sludgy kind of groove right back at the end, which was really cool to finish off. Vocally, I think there's a lot to talk about on this album, because it's weird that there's no massive hooks. Like this isn't necessarily an album that is full of big choruses, although Pain Body does have some memorable lines in it. But it's more about the kind of vocal delivery on this for me. And Jim Bob has a fucking tone, like holy
Jim Bob
shit.
is over the top of his microphone, right? Let's be honest. The microphone is there, and
yeah,
it is as fucking it is right to the point of being just pure distortion, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's really full of gravel, and it gives these tracks so much hostility. It's one of those albums that you'll constantly have like a resting bitch face, that just like you're just like for the whole time, like it's
Male
so,
resting bitch face. Love it.
but it's so abrasive, but it works perfectly with the tone and the intensity of these tracks. But that's not to say that he doesn't try other things vocally on this album. There are moments of little kind of clean moments on Simulacreality. It's lovely names.
That's about as good as I'm going to give it.
Yeah.
So, which track 5,
which again had a little bit of Keith Buckley in there as well. So there are a lot of moments on this where he does kind of veer subtly out of that kind of comfort zone and add in another texture or another mood into the mix. Same on the closing track, Bathe in Fire. His tone at parts is kind of less raspy on that track, and it kind of shows another side. But for the most part, this album will just rip you on your asshole because it is just savage from start to finish. The production is so good.
Good, man. The production is fucking absolute fire.
Yeah.
This is the production is piss over you, but the P is petrol, and then like there's someone just walking around with like a flamethrower beside you. It is that fucking savage.
Yeah.
It's raw as fuck. It
Love
is
it.
the rawest thing I've heard this year, to the point
Really
where
good.
like there are moments where like I was hearing, I was just like I could feel the wince. I could feel the Bob De Niro face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, holy fucking shit. Oh man, it is savage. Absolute savage.
Yeah. What I think I loved was like so many albums that you hear nowadays have like zero fucking character to them.
Yeah.
Like there are so many very clinical and very polished albums that it kind of just removes the life from the album.
And they're interchangeable. Like you
absolutely.
could, by genre as well, which is the weird thing. You take some of the modern death metal production, you could easily take that over to a hardcore album or like a metalcore album, and they would actually work because that's what we're acclimated to hearing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. This isn't like that at all. This feels like it could have been made in the 90s. Like it's got that texture to it. Almost a kind of like weathered kind of feel, but it just makes it feel so much more genuine. Like it feels like it was perfectly produced for this album, for this style. I don't think you'll get anything here that's necessarily reinventing the genres that the album lives within, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the album will show you a fucking real good time. And an album can be thoroughly enjoyable and exciting without being revolutionary. And I thoroughly enjoyed this from start to finish. It's a very Moorish kind of quality to it, that it just kind of makes you want to keep coming back and listening to it again. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Not what I was expecting once I started to read the press, and I was like, what? One guy from Wales? This is what? But ended up absolutely loving it. Really enjoyed this. What about yourself? What do you think?
yeah, this is fucking great. So there's a couple of things we're just mentioning every band tonight, so strap in. I'm surprised you didn't mention early Mastodon. Right. Remission era Mastodon is ripping out of this. Like absolutely, certain sections here where I'm like that. If this was a riff on March of the Fire Ants, it would just fucking go. Just fucking huge and savage and nasty. The flurries on the riffs, man, like the double guitar, like the double guitar work that he does here, you know, the twin guitar parts, which at times are like just in the pocket VOD, and then we'll switch over to just like little Slayer accents of that kind of where you're like especially on Vita Polenta Animus, like towards the end, the last riff on that could be on fucking Seasons of the Abyss. It's just it's fucking great. The reason I lean towards that kind of Denmark vibe is one, vocally, like I say, I think vocally he reminds me at times of like the more savage moments of Jakob's work on The Candidate. But also like on a track like the unrelenting will of boundless immortality, which starts off with these and I was just like, oh, this is like fucking Psych Project, or like just like those like stanky fucking like out there Danish bands that just have slides and bends and like twists.
Yeah.
And that's the credit of this album here, and it's also why I can't get my head around the fact there's one guy. There is so much character on this, like on every single track, and the attention to detail across all instruments boggles the mind that it's one person. Like the guitars have so much personality. Like I mentioned before, the aforementioned Unrelenting Will of Boundless Immortality has those slides, but by the end of it, it's got breakdown bits, ghost notes, fucking accents, twisty bits, windy bits, zippy bits. It's just it's so much. But the bass isn't just following what the guitars are doing. The bass has its own fucking personality.
Yeah.
How? Like, oh, I'm just going to write an album, then I'll learn to play the drums to do it. What the fuck? Who does that? It's like, you're like, I will just. It's not the Matrix. You're not like fucking spiking about. Oh, I know how to play drums. Like it's fucking nuts. And then vocally, that tone over the top of it, I adore the vocals on this. Because it's a tone that we don't get much of anymore, where the tendency is to clean things up a little bit more or bring it back from it's a little bit too distorted, so stand a little bit back from the mic. This is on the brink on every fucking note of like going into the red. But the production is across the board. All the time, it is just teetering on that orange to red on the fader where you're like, I don't know about the fader. I don't know what I'm doing. I love that. There's danger about it. Musically, there is so much going on in the best possible way, even amongst the songs. But there's a flow that just works so well. This is like 32, 33 minutes in length, 8 tracks. But it just carries you. Grabbed from the opening riff on Annihilation, it grabs you by the scruff of the neck and it pulls you through the album, and you just get taken from track to track and just schooled. It's such a formidable vision. It's locked in. It's weird to describe. Like I say, I'm still hung up on this one guy from Wales fucking thing, which doesn't make any sense at all. I feel like there's a deeper backstory we need to delve into. It just feels actualized. Like it feels like fully just in focus all the way through it. There's so much to love on this. Like that hardcore element you mentioned, it's there, that 90s hardcore vibe, particularly in the production, I think. But there's like this kind of proggy, sludgy element that's in there as well. There's kind of metallic jagginess that kicks in. The Every Time I Die influence, which we're going to be seeing a lot over the next couple of years because of the 20-year itch. It's inevitable. Hot Damn has just turned 20 years old, so we're going to be scratching that itch for a wee bit for the next wee while. It's in there, and it's only that it reminds you of. It doesn't sound like, and I kind of love that about it. Every Time I Die's big credit to what they did was they took that kind of vicious hardcore punk energy, but kind of mixed this kind of mathy, almost 70s rock element in, which gave you like those widdly riffs, but broke them in sections that didn't make sense. So the look was never where you thought it would be, but it sounded fucking rad. And Silverburn have a tendency to utilize that kind of similar, in that you think you know where the riff is going and you're expecting another 4 notes after it, and it goes no, and then loops it back, but then gives you the full length of it on the second playthrough. I think that's genius. I think it's just like really confident songwriting. Doesn't surprise me that he's got a couple of projects under his belt. Doesn't surprise me that he probably fronted those, was maybe a chief songwriter of that, because it feels very accomplished. It just there's a confidence about the overall package that just is kind of addictive to listen to. It is a super rewarding listen. You're right. This is the audio equivalent of having just like a thundercloud above you, all like for the full listening session. You just kind of just feel like. You just feel like you can feel an eyebrow going down. You can feel an eyebrow raising up. You can feel a bit of a grimace from start to finish. This is fucking great. It's like absolutely brilliant. Like it came from left field. I wasn't sold on the album artwork. I thought it looked a little bit not related to what it actually sounds like, but in a lot of respects that works for me. There's a kind of DIY quality about this that kind of shines through, and the artwork reminds me of fucking God knows how many unsigned demos from the late 90s, early 2000s. So there's part of me that kind of feels a little bit warm and fuzzy. Yeah, this is the real deal. This is fucking great. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to say let him find some musicians to like collaborate into the band and let's tour this motherfucker, because I want to see it live. That's the problem when it comes to like an entire solo release from a project, is the danger is you never see it live, and these tracks fucking slay live. So yeah, Not that I'm wanting to put you under pressure and tell you to go and form another band now that you've just done everything yourself. But yeah, and then the last thing, we mentioned that a few times, production on this, chef's kiss. Absolutely. Like Gordon Ramsay would be losing his shit right now, this, talking about how fucking raw it was. He'd be putting a slice of bread either side of the album saying, "You're an idiot sandwich." I think it is, when we talk, there's a fine art to matching the perfect production to a sound. This is it.
Yep.
Some bands just stumble on it through blind luck. Some seek out the people that are, gifted to bring that sound out of the band. And then other albums, when you listen to it, you're like, this production was always meant to be on it. This production was always meant to be on this release. Fucking great.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, so what are we going to score this new album from Silverburn? I don't tend to love solo projects like in the past. Not had a great relationship with them, not gonna lie, because I feel like you can often tell it's a solo project, either in the cohesion of it, or it can maybe be a little bit overindulgent. This is neither of those. This sounds like a guy is kind of wearing his influences on his sleeve and doesn't really give a fuck, but it's so fucking cool. It's authentic. It kind of blows my mind that it is just one guy.
Yeah, unless he's got like multiple personality disorder, and one of the personalities is a bassist, one of the personalities that makes sense, but one guy, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'll definitely come back to this throughout the rest of the year when I'm just in the mood for something full of fucking ferocity. I'll guaranteed I'll stick this on. This is a high scorer for me. It's going to be a 4.5 for this one from me. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
Well, let me join you on that 4.5 ledge. Yeah, this is fucking great.
Yeah,
this is my jam. I love music like this where it just, at the end of it, I feel something. Like whether it is I've got a snarl in my step afterwards, or like, I don't know, I want to hug people and put flowers in their hair. It makes me feel something. Yeah. This just, all the way through it, I just kept thinking, this is fucking awesome. I want to see it live.
Yeah.
All the way through it. So, and I'm even more impressed that it's one visionary crafting the sound over giving himself a time period to work on it, and you get that's the thing. Like, the best credit and the best compliment we can give to this album is that the playing on it sounds like 4 or 5 people writing music, and the fact you said 12 months to put it down, go away, learn the drums, and then bring that in. So essentially, like 2 years to craft it in there. You hear every second of those 2 years on this release. Yeah. It's so worth it. It's really fucking good.
Yeah. So that is Silverburn and Self-Induced Transcendental Annihilation, out on August 11th on MSH Music Group. We'll put some links below to the band and to the Bandcamp pre-order so you can check it out. Let us know what you think. Have a listen to this, check out the singles, and stick some comments, and happy to hear your thoughts on it. That is our review. Thank you for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.